What's up, YouTube? This is that video I teased last week about my custom drill and battery charger cabinet. Let's get into it. So this project sort of started brewing in my head during the pandemic, and I didn't actually quite build it until last year. And what I wanted to do was build a custom drill, charger, holder. I've seen a lot of these on YouTube. They're awesome. You know, you'll see like a power strip, some shelves, a mechanism to hold the drills and batteries. So I wanted to do it my own take on that, but utilize some specific tools I found on Amazon. One is a company called Spider Holster, and I'll link to that in the description as well as everything else that I used. And this sort of system is really cool. It allows you to put part of it, the receiver, on your belt, so you can clip in your drill or whatever tool you want to connect to your belt. You can screw them into wood surfaces on your desktop or workbench. For my situation here, for this cabinet build, I mounted them on the side. I really liked that solution a lot. It's very versatile. It's more expensive, sure, than just making like a wooden holder or PVC pipe, but I wanted something that I would like and it would last. So I'm pretty happy with that decision. The other criteria I wanted for this system is I wanted it to mount flush on the wall. I wanted it to look like it was literally built around the wall and not just some add-on. So the way I achieved that is I used French cleats. One of the key YouTubers that I follow who has been a huge inspiration for me on my own channel as well as my projects is a guy named Chris at A Glimpse Inside, and I'll put his information here on the screen. He is the sort of French cleat guru, the master. So I would highly encourage you going and following him. Give a shout out that you came from here if you want. And actually what I'll do is, if you're wondering what a French cleat system is, I'll let him tell you right now.
Welcome to the channel. First off, I'm going to tell you exactly what a French cleat is. Well, it's a 45-degree angle cut on one piece, typically sloping downwards, and a piece of wood that is cut at a 45 like this, and it's on a wall with the slope facing backwards. Again, you put this on, and easily you're able to make a bracket or whatever you want to use. The system is amazing.
So with that out of the way, I decided to go with French cleat. I hung it on the wall. The reason why I did that is sort of twofold. One, I wanted to be able to move it around. I'm actually going to be buying a home this year, so I wanted to be able to easily move it to that new location, which you'll see in future videos as well. The other is that it can hold a lot of strength, and you can level everything out and hang it, and then every time you take it off if you need to and put it back, there's no reason why it wouldn't go back exactly how you removed it before. Some people use French cleats to hang really heavy artwork. I've seen it for cabinetry. It's just a really versatile system, and if you already have a table saw, you're already there. You just need to rip the wood with those angles and bevels, and it's a great system. The other thing I wanted to do with this system is I wanted to paint it. I wanted it white to match the walls. I didn't want it to be just raw, junky, plywood looking. So you'll see on the front, I added some maple paneling, and I attached that with a brad nailer or finish nailer. I think it was an 18 gauge, so not quite finish nailer, but regular smaller nailer. The other thing is you'll see on top I added a shelf to support my Craig pocket screw system, and I use that in this build as well. You'll see that when I attach the panels, I used the Craig system, and I think it just made it look a lot smoother. You know, you don't see where you attach the screws, and for this build it's perfect. It's not super structural, although this system, you know, you can use it for structural assembly, but you know, for this it was perfect. You'll also see these DeWalt battery mounts I bought. These are super cheap. I want to say it was $15 or less, and you literally can just screw it into the wood and it will hold your batteries in place. I love this system. I think it's great. You can get them for Milwaukee as well. You can see I'm sort of team mustard here for no cogent reason other than the fact that my first drill was a DeWalt. For a while I actually wanted to switch to Milwaukee, but it's just so expensive to switch over, so I don't have a good reason quite yet. But I usually do more auto mechanic type stuff, and I find that Milwaukee has more tools in that area, but we'll see. Maybe DeWalt will catch up there. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Most of the stuff I'm doing is just basic drilling and whatnot. I'm not a professional homeowner, if you will, so it hasn't been an issue. All right, so how I started this is I basically first did the French cleat on the wall. So I put the main cleat up, leveled it, knowing the height I wanted to put it there, and then I sort of temporarily super glued the bottom cleat in place. Then I sort of put the backing piece of the cabinet against that and made some marks and again leveled and did some pilot holes so I knew where to screw them once it was back off the wall. So once I removed it from the wall and I had the cleats sort of where I wanted them on the wall end, I put it on the workbench and I mounted the receiving cleats in the appropriate places. At that point, I was able to actually physically hang the backing board against the wall. This allowed me to do a couple things. I could see the distance I had between the backing board and the wall. The whole idea here, if you haven't seen this sort of secret feature yet from my teaser video, what I was trying to do was have a false back so I can have all the electronics, the power strip, the cabling, etc., mounted to the back of the wall. So it's sort of floating in between the wall and the back of the cabinet. And from a distance, you can't really tell it's there, but I love that look. Then you only have one cable going into your 110 outlet in the garage. I think it looks super clean, it's nice. It's a little bit more difficult if you want to take it down and add something, but I kind of thought that through, and it's not the end of the world if I have to take it down. Once the back was where I wanted it, I could sort of see everything. What I did then is I sort of temporarily added the side pieces flush against the back wall. See, normally you would build it off the wall and then hang it and sort of hope that it, you know, some walls have waves or whatever. In this case, I wanted to do it the other way where I'm going off of the wall. I think it just made for a tighter fit. I mean, we're talking, you know, millimeters or less here, but I thought it would just look better, and I think it did. In hindsight, maybe I wouldn't have wanted to do that because that could affect the front of the cabinet not being square, but fortunately my house was built properly and it worked out. Nonetheless, I added the side pieces, made some marks, and then I attached them with the Craig pocket hole jig system I mentioned. After that, I was able to remove the whole entire thing and start worrying about what the shelves might look like, what the top would be. The bottom was meant to be flush. The top I wanted a recess where I can again, you know, add other products. You'll see I took a hole saw and I put holes in the backing board where I can mount the chargers and then route the cable behind where you won't see anything from the front, which is something I really wanted in this assembly project. Since I originally built it, I've added a new charger, so that required me adding some new screws to mount it, but it was no big deal. So overall, you know, future-proofing it is not that big of a deal. You can easily modify it by just taking it down and rerouting wires, etc. Once I had all my holes drilled and everything framed up how I wanted, it was time to paint it. I felt like this was a safe time to paint. I wasn't going to drill any more holes. It was fully assembled. So I just did that with a rattle can white outdoor paint. Took quite a few coats. The wood was pretty thirsty, so but in the end I think it looks fine. It doesn't match the color of the walls, which if I had to do it over again, maybe I would, but I didn't really want it like a beige or taupe color, so I was fine with it. Maybe even black would look pretty cool. All right, here it is. Got the 2 chargers and the 5 holders, or 4 holders rather. These are some mechanic lights I use. They're inductive charging, super cool, great for car work. And then down here I have the cases, some magnets if I want to throw some bits on there. This is for charging my Dremel tool. Another magnetic strip back there for more bits. And these are those plastic holders I was talking about. You just drill them right in, take a battery right out, throw it in the charger or the tool. And then up there is my Craig pocket hole jig system. I don't have anything under it, but I certainly could hang something below if I wanted to. There you can see the pocket screws. Here's the spider holster system. You just take them off. These are drilled right in. easy. And you can put that attachment on pretty much any tool. It's just a Velcro belt, if you will, or strap, and it's super tight on there, no big deal. You can see it's very flush against the wall. No issues. It was a lot easier to do it this way than, you know, measuring smaller than a 1/16 of an inch or 32nd of an inch. And then in here you can kind of see the hole for the main power cable that's going behind this cabinet here to the right. So everything is powered behind that panel. You can have that system, the spider holster system, on things like tape measures, hammers, whatever, just adhesive based, and then you can stick it in those slots there. If you're curious about the dimensions, it's about 28.5 tall. It's about 18.5 wide. And about 11.25 deep. Shelf depth here, when you factor in the false wall, about 8.25. And for these inductive charging magnetic lights, the actual charger is just screwed into the wood, and then I ran a USB cable to this hub, which is also going through that false wall in the back into the power strip. I also have a slot, or a receiver rather, on my workbench. So here's a, I almost said air ratchet, but a battery powered ratchet that I can just hang there when I'm working on my car or whatever. It's good for a tape measure as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this gave you some inspiration for your own projects at home. If you've built something like this, leave some comments on how you tackled it. If you have a video, link it as well. I'd love to see how you all tackled a project of storing your drills and charging your batteries, etc. Have a good one.